Good afternoon. Welcome to 3 o'clock with SOC. Give me a second while I welcome our Spanish-speaking residents. Buenas tardes, bienvenidos a 3 p.m. con SOC. Si quieren acceso al programa en español, por favor, te marquen el número que aparece en la pantalla, que es 646-749-3122. Cuando le contestan su llamada, por favor, compartan el clave, que es 779-328-221. Welcome. It is Friday, August 28th. My name is Tammy Rivera. I'm the Executive Director and the Lead Organizer at Southside Organizing Center, SOC or SOC. We're so happy that you're here with us. Please know we continue to be here. You can get us, you can reach us via our phone, 414-672-8090. You can email us at soc@socmilwaukee.org. And you can visit our website at socmilwaukee.org. And please remember that we're trying to keep you up with the most up-to-date information on COVID. And we have a whole page dedicated to information, resources, and ways that you can take action. Also, if you appreciate the forum, and many of you do, we have over 50,000 views since we started. We want your feedback, and we need your feedback. So please fill out our survey. There's only 2-3 questions. It takes 3 or 4 minutes, super fast, telling us what from today's forum was useful to you. What do you like about the forum? What could we change or improve about the forum? It's super, super simple. And we really need your feedback for us and to show our funders that we are getting your feedback and lifting your voices by collecting and sharing survey results. And we only share those results or use them in mass. So the individual information is not used. We collect it all together and say, for this forum, this is all that was said. While I share the disclaimer, how about you all say hello if you're here with us, because we can see the number of people who are on, but we don't know who's on with us this Friday. So while I share the disclaimer, say hello. I see Stacy Carlos already said, hello, everyone. All right, the disclaimer, because we're a certain type of nonprofit, we can dive in some waters and others no. So I just want to share that the views and opinions shared today are not necessarily those that reflect SOC. It's really important for us to create a space to lift up voices, and we tackle some real critical issues. So that's a disclaimer we have to share. Hola, Darlene Mendez. Good to see you. How about the rest of you folks chime in? All right, a couple of announcements before we get rolling, reminding you that today today is the first week that we rolled out our new format, or the end of the first week where we rolled out our new format. And so give us some feedback on how you appreciated that. If you remember, civic engagement is lifted up on Mondays. On Tuesdays, the youth, but we had our 100th celebration this Tuesday. On Wednesdays, our all Spanish program. On Thursdays, our COVID-19. And on Friday, this is the day that we really want to dig into organizing and leadership development and community development. So next week, the youth, you're going to get to meet our individual youth, and you're going to fall in love with them and be so impressed. On Wednesday, we have an all Spanish program, and that's going to be dedicated to worker rights, because Labor Day is coming up. And then on Thursday, we have Arnita Holloman from the Office of Violence Prevention. And on Friday, because of Labor Day, we're not doing a forum Friday or Monday, the following Monday, because of Labor Day. So this coming Monday, we're here. But the Friday, we're not going to be having a forum, or the Monday after. All right. So be with us next week. We're going to have a fabulous program. A couple of announcements. Let me tell you something. Hola, Trine. There is so much happening in and around us and in the nation. It's not possible to cover everything that's taking place. And so please forgive me that you're not going to hear about everything that's going on. But we're going to try to spread that out across the weeks as they come. So what I do want to share with you is yesterday I attended a panel speaking about the 50th anniversary of the takeover of Chapman Hall at UWM and the birth of the Roberto Hernandez Center. And so 50 years ago, there were hardly any Latino students at the university, and they were not feeling addressed. And so the community came together, and there's a series of a lot of things that took place. Hopefully we'll have them on here to share that with you all. And eventually it resulted in a mass takeover of Chapman Hall, which is where the chancellor's office was, and they stayed in there until they negotiated a deal with the university, which gave birth to the Spanish speaking outreach center that now is the Roberto Hernandez Center. And yesterday they had Jesus Salas and Dr. Fernandez, who was the first executive director, and Dr. Baez spoke as well. And so we'll be bringing that more to you, but I it was in attendance yesterday, and I had the honor of staffing the 40th anniversary. I was consulting then, and I got to staff many of our legacy leaders celebrating the 40th, including Carmen Cabrera, and a student at the university, recording interviews with folks who were there. And Carmen Cabrera, our vice president, was a teenager who participated in that back in the day. So proud. All right, the other major thing that's happening, this is national news, but with a local connection, is the weekend has begun for the 57th anniversary of the March on Washington. And if you remember that, it is the day that Dr. Martin Luther King gave that famous and moving and deeply powerful speech of "I Have a Dream." And so I'm going to ask the producers to show the link to the website, because you can participate virtually if you're not there physically. Right now, what you're seeing is the local group that actually walked 650 miles, led by Frank Nitti, Sensenbaum, and he and this group of, and some group of folks, and there were people who came in and out along the way, walked March 750 miles from Milwaukee to DC. So proud of them. And they're pictured there courtesy of the journal Sentinel. And so if you want to partake in the rest of the activities for the 57th anniversary, you can go to the website, and we'll see if production can pull that up. Hola, Marianne. Bueno verte aquí virtualmente. Good to see you here virtually. And it looks like we can't pull up that website, but we'll share the link. You press on the link, and there's a countdown to the major activities there, and you can participate virtually. All right, thanks for that piece. Folks, we have a very important guest with us today. We have the new captain of MPD District 2, which is the near South Side district. So I'd like to invite Captain Salazar on with me on the screen.
Good afternoon, Tammy.
Hola again. Captain and I had a meeting yesterday virtually, and now we get to see him here again. And I'm so happy that you're with us, and wanting to get to know a little more about you, Captain, and your vision for District 2, and invite folks to get to know you a little better as well. So will you share with us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, good afternoon to everybody. I'm just like everybody else, a novice at this whole virtual thing, so I'm going to trip through it the best I can. So thank you for inviting me and being able to reach all your audience members. So just a little bit about my background. I've been a Milwaukee police officer for about 24 years. I served in District 7, which is at 36 in Fond du Lac, for about 4 years, from about 1996 until about 2000. Then I got promoted to detective, and I primarily worked violent crimes all throughout the city. I spent the last 6 years as an investigator in our homicide unit, which I like to think that I did my best work there. In that position, you really got to meet people and interact with them over a long period of time because of the nature of the offenses. and the impact on the families that were both impacted negatively as the victim's family, but also the victimization of the suspect's family, because they also lost a loved one for a long period of time. So those cases would go on for years and years. Eventually I got promoted to lieutenant, I think in about 09 or 08. And during that time I supervised officers, detectives, sergeants. I worked in our criminal investigation bureau, and then I did a stint at our internal affairs division. I came out of there in about 13. That's when I became a captain, and I worked at kind of a variety of different commands. Probably the most entertaining and fun interactive command I had was our fusion center. While I was there, I got to work with a variety of different federal, state, and local partners. I had an opportunity to work with alderpersons, county supervisors, the county executive, the state legislature, and the governor on a few pieces of legislation. And we actually secured funding, myself and my team secured funding to expand our ShotSpotter system, which is a gunshot location system that we actually were able to bring to the south side. So it was a really great project. I've been at District 2 here since about June, and mainly trying to learn as much as I possibly can about the different crime problems and social problems and my staff in general. Kind of on the personal side, my parents grew up in Milwaukee. My dad actually grew up in what him and his brothers and sisters called Polish Hill, and that was kind of the Bayview area off of South Burrell. Ultimately, him and my mom moved to Chicago, and that's where I grew up. Ultimately, I came back to Milwaukee to become a police officer, and I've been here ever since. I've been married for 20 years. I have 3 sons. I'm starting my high school career again with my oldest son, which I'm really looking forward to. Unfortunately, it's virtually. And then I have a twin pair of boys that are both starting middle school. I've been really involved with their upbringing, obviously. I've done everything from being their scoutmaster. Now they're all in actual Boy Scouts. I did that for about 4 years with them. We're active in our church, and we try to keep our boys very, very busy and engaged. So that's kind of a little bit about me. I always get the question of what's my heritage, so I'll just tell you. I'm Mexican, Spanish, French, and German. So on my dad's side is the Latino portion, and on my mom's side it was the European portion. So kind of a very big mix of cultures there. But being from Milwaukee, there's always that strong Hispanic heritage, but there's also that very strong German heritage. So that's kind of about me in a nutshell. What I wanted to just talk to your audience about is my policing philosophy.
Yes.
Which is, I don't think it's unique, but I think, especially during these times, I think people need to know that there is a difference between policing and law enforcement. So they're two interrelated concepts, but ultimately I'm a police officer. So law enforcement is kind of the easy stuff. It's the suspect did this to the victim, and that was a violation of law, and now it's my job to investigate it and hold that person responsible. So they get arrested and there's the court system. That's law enforcement. What policing is, there's a little bit of law enforcement involved. Maybe 5 to 10% of the time, that's what police officers are doing. The rest of the time, it's basically working on problems that are affecting the geographic area that they're responsible for, which is basically our community and all the people that live, work, play, raise families in that community. So it can be everything from issues with your neighbors, it can be litter, it could be social issues such as the impact of sex workers on a neighborhood. There's all types of different things, and those types of problems aren't necessarily going to be solved by making an arrest or prosecuting somebody. What I expect my officers to do is to take that problem-solving philosophy and implement it in their day-to-day operations and recognize that, yes, we're law enforcement officers, but we're also public servants. And a lot of times at 3 a.m. or at 6 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday when there's no one else in government available, we're the front line of government, and we need to know how to reach out to the other parts of government to solve these problems. So it might be reaching out to Children and Protective Services. It might be getting a hold of the Department of Neighborhood Services. So there's all different things we may want to try to do. It doesn't necessarily have to require law enforcement action. In fact, most of the things that we do are more safety oriented. So that's what I expect of my officers, and thus far I've not been disappointed. I'm blessed to have inherited a great team here at District 2. I have a very supportive community prosecution team, and my two dedicated community liaison officers have really been able to help me get up to speed with the community, what are our initiatives here. And I'd like to just take one moment just to say thank you to the community. Since I've been here in June, I've never experienced this much community support in my career. Thank you to all the people, the individuals, the business owners, the valuable partners that have.
Cupstick, Senior Lieutenant, Cupstick.
Sorry, the page went off.
Cupcake.
So like I was saying, having people just show up here at the district randomly and just drop off a card or send an email or bring in food. We had one business owner come in and provide a whole bunch of food just as support. And that's really, really incredible for me to be able to say thank you to them, but also point to the officers and let them know there's a lot of people that care about you. The biggest thing I hear on a daily basis is, we need you, don't abandon us, please work with us, please listen to us. And that's a huge thing, is that we as, not only as police officers, but as public servants, need to learn to listen to our community, to our civic partners. Because we're citizens too, and it doesn't matter where I live in the city, I expect my elected officials, my public servants, to listen to what I have to say. Because
yeah, I agree that's key. And we were talking yesterday, Captain, that we've done a lot of work on the south side between community and police relations, even reaching as far back as 1990, when SOC led the charge for transparency and communication and community police relations, that resulted in what we now have as crime and safety meetings, and led the charge for what we now have as community. We call them problem-solving units, even though the technical term is community prosecution units. And so I believe we have a little bit of advantage over other districts, just because SOC led the community organizing charge. And we've sort of had a couple of years ahead of other districts, because both of those functions were piloted on the south side. And I think that's why we have a little bit of an advantage, because we have a couple of years ahead of folks. What I found really interesting about you sharing your philosophy is the distinction between sort of law enforcement and policing, because obviously we're dealing with those issues nationally and locally. And really what people are saying is the same, that really what the community is demanding is to divert money so that policing part gets done by specific subject matter experts in those areas get dispatched. And so it's good to hear you sort of differentiate those functions. Captain, what are some of your thoughts for moving forward in community and police relations? I know you shared you got some support there, that you want to listen. That's good to hear, and you're thanking the community. So what are some of your thoughts on how we can strengthen moving forward?
Well, my personal philosophy and what I've been focusing on for the last 2 months is just making myself available and tasking my two experts in the community of trying to get me engaged with the right people in the community, and to find out what the resources are, find out what the mood of the people is, and how our interactions are being perceived. I believe that there's an opportunity for the police department to do some education to people within the community as to why we do things or how we operate, and also to dispel certain rumors and myths about policing. What I really want to focus on is that everybody in this audience and in this community knows that just because I wear this uniform doesn't mean there's not a human being inside. I'm just like you, just like everybody else. If you cut me, I bleed. If you say mean things to me, I'm gonna feel bad. I have emotions, all that kind of stuff. And that's a reciprocal thing, is that my people need to realize that everybody they deal with is a human being and has those same issues. They have the same emotions. You cut them, they bleed. And generally, when we come into contact with people, it's usually not their best day, especially when we're called to a scene. It's usually not, hey, Dave, come over for my birthday. It's, hey, Mr. Policeman, come over to my birthday because something horrible happened at the birthday party. So over time, that can impact the way you see things. So one of the things I'm instituting at the district is to make sure that my everyday officer who's on patrol for a specific geographic area within the community, that they have opportunities to work with the CLOs on those more pro-social events where we're directly interacting with the community on the community's point of view. It's a community event that is, it can be anything from, working in a garden to just doing a meet and greet. So we could just be sitting down at a coffee shop with citizens just to hear what's important about their neighborhood. Most people that live in a neighborhood have a pretty good idea what's going on, and things that are wrong, they probably already have a solution in mind. And a lot of times if we just zip our lip and listen, we're going to get some pretty good ideas that we can work with. But I have to bridge that gap between the people I work with, the people I serve with, and the people that we serve. So that's kind of what most commanders are trying to do right now. I know that Chief Brunson's, when he took office or was sworn in, he mentioned two things that he's committed to: the reduction of violent crime that is out of control right now, and building community relations. And he's the boss, and I'm going to do what he says, but those two things make perfect sense. I think the community wants less violent crime. It's logical, but more importantly, they want a police force that they can respect, interact with, and trust. So that's my job, and I'm going to do everything I can to make that happen. I engage with my officers on a daily basis so they know that's the expectation, and I make myself front and center. So trying to be the example. And I've only been here 2 months so far, and obviously there's still a lot of work to do, but so far I've seen some good results. Just like earlier today, we had a very good meeting with the executive director from Safe and Sound. Sorry, I was having a mental block there with Jomar Hooper. And now I'm here today with you, with your organization, which enables me to reach out to a huge audience. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I encourage anyone in that community that if you have like an issue with police service, if you have an issue with anything from traffic to nuisance abatement, please call the district station. Our number is 935-7222. Very easy to remember, 7222. Obviously, if it's a 911 emergency, call 911. If you want to come in and talk to us, we're here 24/7. We're your police department, and we're here to serve you. We're here to be part of the team and the solution.
Great. And I want to remind folks that SOC is the city selected and funded community partner for the CPU team at District 2. And you can connect with us too when maybe you don't feel as comfortable connecting with the district directly. You can call them directly. And if you don't feel comfortable with that, you can call us. And also, if you want to report a crime anonymously, we've said this several times over, but you want a mediator, then you can call SOC and we can report it for you. The advantage there is if you report a call anonymously, the police have no way of connecting back to you for follow-up to let you know what's happening or for questions. But if you report it to us and we report it for you, then if there's more questions needed, SOC can ask you and get back to the officers or the district, and then you can also find out what's happening with that issue. So, folks, there's lots of ways to work on safety. Definitely, from SOC's inception, it's our 30th anniversary this year. The number one issue in 1990 was safety, which included what you're talking about, Chief, announcing, which is crime, being safe from crime, but also being safe from the police. And so these are the issues that we're dealing with today. So I'm glad to hear that he also is committed to community relations, which is something he shared with me and I shared in the program. Captain, are there any crimes we want to help folks be preventative about in this season as the summer's coming to a wrap? What should people be like mindful of in this season of typical crimes on the South Side?
Well, what we're seeing right now, and it's not going to be a surprise to anybody, is the uptick in violent crime. The issue with the violent crime that we're seeing right now is that it generally isn't random, which is a good thing, in that a lot of the crime is interpersonal relationships that are kind of going bad, meaning it might be an argument. It's generally what it is. It's an argument fight that gets out of hand either because it's alcohol fueled, or it's drug addicted fueled, or somebody's ego got hurt and all of a sudden there's a gun involved in the incident. The best thing I can say to the audience is that if you're involved in an argument, a dispute with somebody, please just do what your parents probably told you and what your teachers told you growing up, is just take a step away from the event. Take a step away, count to 10, find something else to do, and let yourself cool off. Because the minute a firearm is brought into the situation, it really can turn tragic in moments. We've had that way too many times in the South Side, and way too many times throughout the city. Some of these arguments are as silly as something that occurred on Facebook that leads to someone's death, and it's absolutely tragic. When I grew up, you could make mistakes as a young person, and you might get a fat lip out of it. And nowadays, you could say something to the wrong person and end up dying over it. So these arguments are generally petty, and we should really be teaching our young people, to certain circumstances, you have to walk away and have that, and put your pride off to the side and realize that sometimes the smarter person is the person that doesn't engage in the argument. The other thing that we're obviously struggling with is the reckless driving, in that it doesn't seem to have any boundary within the county or the city. Doesn't matter where you live. But again, just slow down. Just slow down a little bit and take your time, plan a little bit, and be patient. It's a big city, it's a big county, and just if we were just to slow down by 5 to 10 miles per hour, we'd have a lot less traffic issues. We'd have a lot less traffic fatalities and injuries. So please slow down. Please don't let your arguments get away from you. The other things that are occurring, obviously you need to be aware of your surroundings as far as people attempting to commit robberies, but the robbery issue in our city really isn't anything that we normally wouldn't see this year as opposed to last year. The big thing has been the arguments and the anger-fueled events. So
I haven't heard of a lot of carjackings this season, and that's typical, with people leaving their air conditioning on, and in the winter, we haven't had a lot of that, huh?
No, we haven't. I'm going to knock on wood now.
Yeah.
But no, we have a fantastic robbery unit at the Milwaukee Police Department that it collaborates with the District Attorney's Office, the FBI, and some of the suburban partners, because we find some of the individuals that you're talking about, the carjackers, that they don't respect jurisdictional lines. They go wherever they want, and they drive like maniacs, and sometimes they take people's lives that way. But our team, that's a collaborative team, are excellent investigators. And when they get onto a crew of carjackers, they're relentless investigative pit bulls, and they make sure that there's no stone unturned. Very incredible work, and they've been doing that work for the past 4 years. And we've really seen a reduction in carjacking citywide, and it's mainly due to their efforts. And when someone has their car taken, it's like a traumatic event. It really upsets the balance of life. You can't get to work, you can't grocery shop, you can't get your kids to school. So the cooperation we see with victims with those cases really helps with the prosecutions. And the current state of video surveillance, private video surveillance, most people are on video within minutes every day outside of the public. We've really learned how to use that video surveillance in those carjacking events to help solve those cases quickly. So
yeah, you can tell it's down. Captain, the violent crimes that you talked about, are those shootings or injuries or deaths occurring between family members or friends?
Well, unfortunately, with the COVID-19 pandemic, we see a lot more inter-family violence and well, basically domestic violence or domestic-related violence, where it's either adult on adult, adult on child, or child on adult. But it could also be the personal relationship, the boyfriend, girlfriend that aren't necessarily living together.
Yeah, we've been doing a series here, and we have it every week now on domestic violence because of the high spike. Before we leave, folks, Captain, let's remind them of crime and safety meetings. And
Yes.
so the crime and safety meetings I mentioned to y'all before have now evolved to, I believe every district has a set meeting with their community where they give them updates on what's happening and allow them questions. And so if I remember correctly, this was the first one since the pandemic back in person with social distancing in a parking lot, correct?
Yes, and to just, I also want to say a big thank you to Christ St. Peter, the leadership and the staff there that allowed us to use their parking lot there at 22nd and Greenfield. Thank you to your staff for their participation and all the other service providers that helped us come together. Really a big lift to get 30 or so people together out in the heat in the middle of summer during a pandemic. And it was great to get to actually speak to people in person and hear, what's going on in the community, hearing their frustration. And, not everybody's going to be happy with my performance, but I only know that if I meet with them and hear what they're saying. So I do appreciate that opportunity. Our next crime and safety meeting is going to be Wednesday, September 16th at 6 p.m. I believe it's going to be at the park at 12th and Arthur, but I'm still working on firming up the location. So we will let you know so you can get the word out there in this forum. But again, it's going to be outside just because of the state of affairs with the pandemic right now.
Okay. Are you also broadcasting it or only doing it live?
We were doing it live, and then someone at the event on Wednesday actually said, "Are you guys going to be streaming it?" So I have to talk to my CLOs and see if one of our children knows how to stream. I'll probably have to bring them.
Thank goodness for our kids. Before you go, we have a question here. Jose Vasquez, what are your public safety community collaborations or your position on high potential youth?
Well, obviously the youth of our community is our future. And right now we have we have an Explorer program within the police department, and it's a pretty strong one here at District 2 where my two CLOs engage with them on a regular basis. Right now I'm trying to engage with each and every one of my private schools that are starting to come back. They're all getting a little bit at a time, they're all getting their approvals to bring back students, but there's been some opportunities to collaborate with them. It's been difficult. It's been very difficult to get groups of people together to do those interactions. So I'm hopeful that later in the fall that we're going to be able to actually do events that are more targeted towards youth. And I will be looking for partnerships with people like SOC to help us bridge that gap, to be able to kind of break down that wall between the police and youth. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. We are hampered a little bit by the COVID-19, but we're going to push through it.
Sounds good. Lastly, we're looking forward, Captain, to working with MPD and our districts as a member of the Community Collaborative Commission and and FPC tackling the formal community-oriented policing. And so, SOC did a safety summit to give feedback to the Department of Justice findings, and we had over 110 people attend to give feedback into that process. So we're looking forward to digging in on that with you as well. All right, Captain, thanks for being with us. We look forward to having you back, NBC.
All right, well, thank you. It's been my pleasure, and have a safe weekend.
Okay, adios. All right, folks. Thank you, Jose, for your question. Hola. Let's see if we have any new. Just Trina saying yes again. All right, I would like to then ask you all to go ahead and say hi if you haven't already. We wanna know who's with us today. All right, the coronavirus update. Marlene is off today, but she's prepared something for us. We show that, I want to share that the Milwaukee Health Department, speaking of, the captain was speaking about private schools. The Milwaukee Health Department gave an update on their school safety plans, and I want our production staff to pull that up. They did that today. I'm looking at the release and sharing some information with you. And so what they're saying is they understand it's emotional for all parties involved. Those who basically, like we're all talking about, those people who want their kids physically at school and don't. And if we spoke here earlier, there's some requirements that schools have to meet in their and documented in a plan, in order for the Milwaukee Health Department to ensure that they check off the safety assessment checklist that they have in order to open. And so if I can have the production crew show the list of schools, we'll share the schools. On August 21st, the following schools have been approved: Marquette University High School, Wisconsin Lutheran, Pius, Yeshiva Elementary, St. Marcus, Divine Savior Holy Angels, Milwaukee Montessori, Cross Trainers Academy, Seton Catholic Schools, St. Sebastian. And then for the 28th, today, the following schools have been approved: Salem Lutheran, South Lucas Lutheran, Milwaukee Seventh-day Adventist, Mount Olive Christian Day, Risen Savior, Word of Life Lutheran, Seeds of Health, Blessed Sacrament. I got to slow down. I always forget that the interpreter has to share what I'm saying, and I talk fast. St. Augustine, Mount Lebanon, St. Anthony, Notre Dame, and Cristo Rey. And so those are the schools that are approved at this point by the health department. Let's see if the next update is scheduled for September 4th. If you want to stay abreast to what's happening there in terms of schools. And now we'll go ahead and bring up a video that Marlene has prepared for us on how to properly, with a guest, wear a mask.
Hi, I'm Maritza and I work at Walker's Point Community Clinic. I'm a medical assistant and community health worker, and I want to show you how to wear your mask properly. This is really important so that when you cough or sneeze, particles don't come out of your mask through your nose or through your mouth, and it protects you from other people's particles. So first, whenever you're about to put a mask on, you're gonna sanitize your hands or wash your hands before you even put on the mask. You're gonna get in all those little crevices in your nails. Don't forget about the thumb and your wrists. And then you're gonna take your mask, and there's gonna be a part, often there's a part that has a little ridge for the nose. You're gonna grab it by the strings and place the mask on your face. Notice how the bottom is covering my chin? That's good. Notice how the top is covering my nose? Also good. If there's a part in your mask that has a little plastic part, press that down. This helps to make sure that air can't get through there. And that's it. Later on, after I do my shopping or whatever it is that I'm doing, and I want to take off my mask, I'm also going to sanitize. And I clean my hands, because who knows what I touched. I'm going to grab my mask by the strings and take it off like this. This is how not to wear a mask. Wrong. Nose out, also wrong. Hanging out on the chin, not great either. Doesn't really do its thing, doesn't do its job. So we want to make sure that our entire mouth and nose is covered by the mask. And there you have it.
Thank you to Maritza for sharing that with us, and for Marlene for coordinating that. We can't take information for granted, and so we forget about those things that we have to be mindful about. All right, Gabe, our civic engagement manager, has prepared a video of how to request an absentee ballot. Folks, if you haven't done so, do it right away so that you're not stressed and it's just taken care of. And this is a year, if you're happy or not happy with whatever has happened in any arena that has impacted your life or others that you care about, you have to vote. And so please cooperate and go ahead and pull up that video and we'll share that with you.
So I also just want to take this opportunity to show you the My Vote Wisconsin website, where you can register to vote and request your absentee ballot online. Just myvote.wisconsin.gov. You can change it to Spanish by going down to the bottom here, not all the way to the bottom, but pretty close. And it says Espanol here, so you can change it to Spanish. But this is where you can, like I said, register to vote or vote absentee, learn where you vote, and even get a sample ballot to see what's on your ballot. So let's hit register to vote to see what that looks like. You'll just put in your first name, last name, and your date of birth, and it will guide you through just a series of questions. It takes just a few minutes, and it's easiest if you do it on your phone, because then you can just snap a picture right away of the identification, passport, license, whatever you have, because that is required when you register to vote. So just keep that in mind, unless you have on your computer already a file of an image of your identification. But it's pretty easy by phone. And same with the vote absentee option. So it'll ask you to put in your first name, last name, and date of birth to confirm your voter registration, and then guide you through the process of requesting the absentee ballot. Again, super short process. I did it in like 5 minutes for the spring election. And you also might have to upload an image of your identification, so just keep that in mind if it makes sense for you to do it by phone or by computer. And so that's that, and I hope that was helpful. I will now give it back to Tammy.
We're always appreciative of Gabe's extra work to help us understand how to engage in our voting rights and democracy. Let's see if we have anybody else with us. Hola, Hector Colon. Good to see you. I was at his book debut virtually yesterday. Hector wrote a book, The Journey from the Boxing Ring to the Boardroom, 5 Essential Virtues for Life and Leadership. And Boswell Bookstore held that event. Good to see you here, brother. And congratulations again. All right, folks. The other thing we cannot forget this year is the census. Every 10 years, we're all counted, whether you're a documented citizen or not. And remember that if we don't fill that out, we lose on an average, right? Because people are saying anywhere from $1,400 to $1,800 a year. So imagine for each one of you, like $15,000 over the next decade in getting our streets repaired and having money for school and all the services. And importantly, because of the representation we get is based on our population. So Gabe also got a video for us to inspire us and remind us to make sure we fill out the census.
The census counts everyone in this country, and that really means everyone. A hospital patient, yes, that person counts. Newborn Benjamin, yeah, little Ben now counts. 2 families that live in the same house, sure thing, they all count. Or David, who's living in his cousin Daniel's garage, he also counts. The census counts everyone to make things better for all of us.
If you need any help, folks, getting your absentee ballot or filling out the census, you can connect with us in all the formats that we shared earlier. Hector, now that I see you there, you got to come on. Hector is also the president and CEO of Lutheran Social Services, and so we're gonna have to book you on so you can share what your organization does and the programs and services. All right, I'd like to invite now one of our most popular staff, Travis, who's going to give us an update on public resources.
Hello, everyone.
Hola, Travis.
Hi, Tammy. So yeah, we got a SOC featured community update. On March 24th, 2020, the city of Milwaukee suspended fees at the drop-off centers during the onset of the COVID-19 health emergency. Since that time, the centers remain open, and if you've went there, you've seen they've been very busy. There's been lines going down to 43rd Street. But they remain open with additional safety protocols to minimize the risk for staff and customers. But effective Tuesday, September 8th, which is a couple weeks from now, fees will resume at the drop-off centers. The fees for tires will continue to be waived with a limit of 5 tires being accepted from one party. But visitors to the drop-off centers are still required to wear face masks and coverings, because we're still in this pandemic. We still got to take precautions with the COVID-19. But there's more information. For more information, including fees, locations, and accepted items, they can be found at the website, which is the milwaukee.gov/dropoff. So just so you know, September 8th, there will be some more fees, and you can get more information on that website. And you can always contact us, and we'll try to keep you updated on everything that's happening.
Great stuff. Thank you, Travis, for that update. As you can see, folks, things are starting to open up and get back to normal. And so you need to pay attention to what the changes are. All of the links and resources that we talked about today, you can access on our comments. So take advantage of all of that information. All right. The much promised highlights from our 100th episode celebration. We're finally getting to it. That took place on Tuesday, if you can believe it. And we just weren't able to squeeze it in because there was so much happening. But we have it for you without fail today. So if I can have the production crew pull up the flyer for the 100th. The flyer for the 100th announcement. That's beautiful. That's the art piece. That art piece was created by one of our staff, Taylor Herrada. And it pathways the work we did to get to the 100th episode, right? And so on the very bottom, the pandemic hits. We want to make sure that we are able to still work with and for you, our residents, and make sure that you're centered and that you have a voice and a vote and a vehicle to organize. And we went virtual. It was painful, folks, like I've shared with you. Like, we weren't quite ready. We're not that kind of organization. We don't have those kind of resources. But we did, all of our staff and even our youth, which is a rare, unheard of thing in the city, that people were able to move their youth virtual, but all of our youth went virtual. And then it was time for the stay-at-home order and wearing masks. And all of those small writings in there are all our featured guests. Even though it was a pandemic, I want you to know we continue to do our programming and services via all the other ways except for in person. We had a successful cleanup with over 80 registered cleanups that happened, honoring social distancing guidelines. Individuals and couples and families participated. And we're getting ready right now to do a resource fair with some collaborators. And all of our staff pretty much is getting cross-trained. So even the youth are producing, they're coordinating, they're creating the works that you see here in terms of videos and flyers and information and booking guests. And so we're really proud of the team. But yeah, we made it to 100th episode on our 3 o'clock with SOC. And we're so grateful that you're here with us, and we're so honored to stay alongside you, especially during this time. It was not an option for us not to be here with and for you all. And you need to know we've had an enormous amount of success. We've had over 50,000 views over those 100 episodes, which averages about 600 viewers per episode. both our English and our Spanish versions, because as you know, we are interpreting simultaneously in Spanish as we speak. And so, yeah, that's a great success story. And we're honored again to be alongside of you and grateful that you're here with us. And so I'm going to ask for, could you pull up the flyer? Our communications manager created a little celebration flyer that honors the 100th episode. There it is, folks. Happy to have that. And then how about the screenshot of some of the participants from the celebration? We had staff and board and some of our super fans, our interpreter, our youth, and there's a screenshot of some of the participants in Zoom, and it was streamed live on Facebook as well. And let's take a look back, folks, at some of the snippets from the 100 episodes. Marisol created a beautiful compilation, so we'll take a look at that now. Again, the attendees of our 100th celebration episode. Wasn't that beautiful, Marisol? You did an incredible job on that poster and the video highlights. It's just so sweet to see the background music, the smiles from everyone and folks that participated. Thank you so much for doing that. And thank you, Taylor, for our commemorative poster. Those folks who registered for the Zoom will be getting a commemorative poster and be getting a customized cloth mask with the 100th logo on it as well. You'll get those things in the mail. All right. Thank you again for everyone who participated in the 100th celebration. We want to remind you, you don't want to miss the forum next week. We rolled out our new format this week, and next week we're continuing. Monday is Civic Day. We're hoping to have one of our partners on, the African American Roundtable, Devin from there. On Tuesday, you're going to meet some of our individual youth organizers. On Wednesday is our All Spanish Day. I'm hoping to have bosses here because we're headed into Labor Day and we want to talk about worker rights. On Thursday, Arnita Holloman from the Office of Violence Prevention is going to be here to talk about mental health. And remember that because of Labor Day, we're taking off Friday from the forum and that Monday. And so we will not be having a forum so that the staff can get a break every once in a while. It's been heavy for everyone. We want to share our solidarity with the protesters all across the nation, our sister city, Conozca, and so proud of the Milwaukee protesters and the sacrifices their families made for them to participate. They marched 750 miles from Milwaukee to Washington, D.C. for the march on Washington. We're so proud of them. And also, we want to remind you that we're thinking about you and our prayers are with you if you've been impacted by COVID. All of us have to some extent, but especially those who have had to battle the illness and those who have lost a family member or loved one. Thank you for being with us, folks. We appreciate you. Be safe. And we're going to leave you with our thank you video for our partners who fund us.
Hola, SOC viewers. My name is Andrea Rodriguez, and I'm the Leadership Coordinator for Southside Organizing Center. We would like to thank everyone for supporting our 3 o'clock with SOC live show and for completing our very important SOC survey. In addition to thanking our residents for tuning in and for sharing our show, we would also like to thank the following sponsors: Wisconsin Voices, Community Development Block Grants, Neo Philanthropy State Infrastructure Fund, Movement Voter Project, Catholic Campaign for Human Development, Zilber Foundation, City of Milwaukee Office of Violence Prevention, Tides Foundation, City of Milwaukee Promise Zones, and all the faithful individuals like yourself who support SOC through their personal donations. Gracias.